It took me a lot longer than I anticipated just due to the amount of content that I've had to put out over the last 2 weeks or so between the Dynasty content, the franchise content, the College Football 27 wishlist content, also the content surrounding the concepts that creators have created, showing the possibility of what can be added in College Football 27 if the people at EA put in the time and effort. Couple that with me locating the best rosters for Madden 26, as well as updating those rosters throughout the draft. Now we're here and I'm finally able to put together my Madden 27 wish list. And before I get started on the actual wish list, let me go ahead and go over some of the things that I requested that actually were added. It's not a ton, but it's more than what college football added. College football, it might have added like 2, maybe 3 things that I requested. But wear and tear, I requested wear and tear. They added wear and tear in Madden. I also requested in-depth presentation, and I'm not gonna say it's in-depth, but they tried. I will say they tried. There's still some room for improvement, but I'm gonna go ahead and check it off just because of what they did add. I asked for them to add for more of a NFL 2K5 type presentation, and although we didn't get that full experience like NFL 2K had with the Chris Berman pregame report, the halftime show, the Trey Wingo draft presentation, the Susie Culver on the sideline experience, although we didn't get none of that, which is fine. They did deliver somewhat on the presentation. They did deliver with the different score bugs and the different kinds of presentation for Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night football games and regular football games. So they did add that aspect, and they did have the halftime show as well as weekly recap. Now, like I said, those things can improve. They can improve, but they at least tried to implement something, and they didn't do too minimal. They did add different score bugs. There's different commentary to go with the different presentations for like the Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, so on and so forth. They did add a halftime show as well as a weekly recap. Although many would say it's bare bones, it is a lot better than what we previously had. So I'll go ahead and give them a check for that request, but I still would like to see some improvement there. I would still like to see some things like NFL 2K5 had in their game. Also, the ability to challenge. Now, this was a part of my wish list, but apparently what I didn't know until I dropped my Madden 26 wish list video is that challenging was already in the game. Now, my thing on challenging was that the option was always there, but we never could use it. For years, we never could use it, and I never could understand that. But what somebody in the comment section stated to me is that challenges work, you have to be on simulation. And I had to think about it because our online league for years has ran on competitive. Everything has been all Madden and competitive for years now. So I've always seen the challenge option and just felt these people were playing in our faces and had the option there, but had it locked and you couldn't actually use it. So when I saw in college football that it was available to be used, that's what prompted me to go ahead and say Madden needed to add the challenge option. Because how do you have it in your college football game, but you don't have it in Madden? But somebody stressed to me that you had to be on simulation. When they said this, I went and experimented and played a Play Now game on All Madden Simulation, and sure enough, the challenge option was there. So I requested it, but it was there the whole time, and I didn't know it had to be a certain setting that you had in the game in order to be able to use challenge. Now, they still could improve challenging. Just like I said with presentation, there's room to improve. You still could, like I said, NFL 2K5 gave you options. You had options that you could use as far as your challenges is concerned. Depending on what happened during the play, they gave you multiple options of what you could look for in the game. So they still could improve in that sense, but challenging is there. So I went ahead and checked that off. Still looking for some room to improve there in that aspect. And custom celebrations. Before this year, all we had was the swagger, the flex, all of that. You chose whichever one you wanted to do, and you were subjected to whatever animation they decided to use, or whichever celebration they decided they wanted to allow you to use when you selected one of those. And I mentioned how college football had where you could perform custom celebrations. You weren't subjected to a preset celebration for whichever option you chose. And they actually implemented that this year. So I go ahead and check them off for that. So that's all the things that they did add. There's actually one more later in the video, but I'm not going to put that off as a check. I'm not going to give them a pass on that because I'll explain later in the video why. But we're going to go ahead and get into the things that I'm still looking for this year for Madden 27. And first off is a better draft editor. I asked this last year, and again, they didn't change it. Now, one of the things that did change with the draft editor that I brought up last year was actually a glitch in the game where if you change the player's weight, then it would change their body type. And this was a big thing because this happened last Madden. It happened in prior Maddens before that. And I made the video in hopes that it would change going into Madden 26. And then Madden 26 came out and it got even worse. So before, if you were editing an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman that was a bigger body type, like 280 to 300 pounds, if you would change the weight in a little bit, it would change them from a offensive lineman or a defensive tackle's body type. It would change them to a linebacker's body type. This year, when we came into the game, it got even worse, and it would change the body type to a wide receiver's body type. So I created videos blasting EA about it. A lot of people were spamming EA with these videos. Eventually, EA finally changed it and gave us different body types, but there's still room to work with those body types because I don't like how the body types are restricted. You should be able to put whichever body type, no matter the size, that you want it. So say for instance, I use this as an example in college football, in my college football 27 wish list. They have multiple players now that play football that's like 208 pounds that have a very muscular build. They don't even look like they're that small in size, but they have a muscular build. But in Madden, unless that player is 220 or above, you can't give them a muscular build. You have to give them a regular standard build that looks somewhat on the slimmer side. So at least give us the ability to put whatever build we want for whatever player, or at least give us a wider range for the cap size. So say like 205 to 220, we can do a muscular build. That will work. 205 to 220 plus could be a muscular build because that's more realistic. Also, another thing as far as the builds are concerned is that you have players who are actually like 6'4", 230, 240, but they don't look it. They look like a slimmer build. They carry their weight different. But in Madden, you're restricted to giving them a muscular build if they're anything over 220 pounds. See Drew Aller, for example. Drew Aller doesn't look like he's this big muscular quarterback, but he's like 6'5", 230 something, 240 pounds. But in Madden, you have to give him this big muscular type. That, or you can give him I think it's the slim body type, not thin. It's the slim body type, where it kind of fits into it, but then he has these extremely massive calves and this slim upper body type. It looks awkward. It looks weird. It would benefit if they expanded the range that you could use for body types with editing the draft class, not just editing the draft class, but editing players in general. Also, another thing is, like I mentioned last year in my Madden 26 wish list, you have way more customization in superstar mode than you have in create a player or draft editor. Why do you have this feature in the game for that aspect, but you don't have it for your draft editor or editing players in general? You should be able to transport that over to the draft editor so we're not restricted to the same preset faces you give us and have been giving us for the last decade plus. Give us the ability to fully customize everything, the features on the face, the nose, the eyes, the ears, mouth, the hair, etc. Because when you're creating a draft class, after a couple years, the faces get repetitive because there's only so many faces we have to choose from. So a lot of the players start having the same faces. So give us a better draft editor and you won't hear too much complaining about that in the future. Next up, we got combine rookie workout drills and private workouts. They have private workouts in the game, but it's not an actual drill. It's not an actual drill. It's just you set up private workouts. You select 3 players you want to do a private workout with. Boom, that's it. But rookie workout drills used to actually be in Madden before. But like a lot of things in Madden, they've taken them out and they haven't given them back to us. We would like to have rookie workout drills so we can have another aspect of being able to develop our players, our young players, so we can see where they're at play-wise, as well as get a little extra boost to their development. Because a lot of times when you're drafting those later round players, they end up being in the lower 60s anyways. So it would be nice for us to go ahead and have combine rookie workout drills. And also, with that being said, implementing extra training activities like 40-yard dash and bench press like you used to have around Madden 06, 07 for the Xbox 360 console. When you actually had these as training activities that targeted exactly what you were looking for. So if you did 40-yard dash, you could specifically target the speed of your player, and you can get some kind of development points to put towards the speed. If you did bench press, you're directly targeting the strength of that player. So yeah, we have weekly training and these different activities that we can do, that we can acquire points to put towards whichever group of attributes we want to put towards, but we can't target specific attributes. I feel like this should be added back into the game so we can specifically target speed and strength, because as of right now, we don't really have nothing to target speed. We have something to target strength, but you can't directly target strength. I'd like to see this make a comeback. I mentioned this last year. I mentioned it again this year. So combine rookie workout drills as well as actual private workouts where we can bring rookies in to have private workouts, even if we're not using it to get development points. Just have private workouts so we can kind of get a feel to how this player plays before we decide we want to draft them. And bringing back drills like 40-yard dash, bench press, vert, etc. so we can directly impact speed, strength, and jumping ability. Next up, we have Senior Bowl. Again, something that was once in the game that they took out, and something that a lot of people might seem like it's very minimal or not necessary, but a lot of franchise gamers and a lot of immersed gamers would like to experience something like this for the same reason that I just mentioned with combine rookie workout drills and private workouts. It lets you get a feel of some of these rookies that are going into the draft. And you can see how those guys play and determine if those are players you could see yourself going after in the draft, or if you feel like you could legitimately pass on them. So definitely adding the Senior Bowl would be a big plus, a big W if Madden would do that. Again, that's not necessarily something I can see being done, but they do have, not in Madden, but in college football, they have Senior Bowl teams that you can actually play with. Not actually in a game, but in Team Builder. I'll do a separate video on that later on down the line. Contract holdouts. Again, another feature. Was once in a game, but is no longer in the game anymore. And if we're talking about immersion, this should most definitely be in a game to give you more of an experience of a GM and an owner. To have players that actually decide they want to hold out if they're not getting the contract they desire. Making negotiations more realistic with these players during the regular season, during the off season, so on and so forth. So definitely implementing contract holdouts back in the game for a more realistic feel of the game. Pro Bowl votes mid-season. Again, once in a game. I know I'm repetitive, but again, this is all features that was once in a game that is no longer in the game. And there's a million more that aren't in the game anymore, but I'm not going in on those ones. I'm going in on the ones that I'd like to see back in the game. And Pro Bowl votes, as minimalistic as it may seem, I like to see it in the game, because when you see Pro Bowl votes, you get an idea on if you need to continue going as hard as you've been going with certain players, or if you need to dial it back. If you see that that player has a comfortable lead and he's more than likely not going to fall out of the Pro Bowl voting, and then you can start dialing it back and start focusing your attention on developing other players. But if you feel like it's a neck and neck arms race, you know, to continue to maintain that pressure you've been applying with that player. So being able to see Pro Bowl votes mid-season, kind of like how 2K allows you to see All-Star votes mid-season, would be a massive plus. Restricted free agents during the off-season. Again, another feature. Once in the game before, is no longer in the game. This is a real-life thing that owners place on players that are restricted free agents. They place tenders. If you don't know how that works, it's simply the player is restricted. So you haven't signed a contract with them. So they're available to sign with another team, but under a condition. And that condition is whatever tender you decide to place on that player. So if you decide that that player is worth a second round pick, you put a second round tender on there. So what would happen is another team could negotiate with that player. And if they come to agreement with that player, you have the chance to either match that contract or allow them to walk and you receive a second round pick for said player. And it would go the same with first round picks, third round picks, whatever it may be. Similar to what the Cowboys did with Brandon Aubrey. They put a second round tender on Brandon Aubrey. If another team was decide they wanted to sign Brandon Aubrey regardless, they could, and the Cowboys could match. If they didn't match, they would receive a second round draft pick from that team. So restricted free agency in Madden would be massive and add to the immersion of the game. Retired players returning to the league as coaches. Again, once in the game, no longer in the game. And in my opinion, if you're not going to allow us to have the actual assistant coaches that are in the league in real life, at least give us the ability to have retired players enter the league so we can have them on our coaching staff. Kind of like you did with scouts, how you have retired players as scouts that you could hire to scout certain regions. Give us that ability as far as coaches are concerned. Don't let them leave the game and no longer be a part of the game ever again. Allow them to be able to come back as assistant coaches, offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, special teams, whatever, linebackers, coaches, whatever. We're limited on the options we have as assistant coaches anyways, but give us the ability to have retired players come back in the game and be a part of our game. Ability to reset games already played. This is massive. Like I mentioned last year, as a owner of a online league, this is big because in 2K, if some goofiness happens in a online game between two players, I can go back and reset that game so they can play. Or if I find out that somebody did some cheat cheese exploit nonsense, I can go back and reset that game. It's not finalized. Give me that ability in Madden as well as other league owners to be able to reset games if we deem some kind of misconduct happened that shouldn't have taken place. Give us that ability to reset games. That would be a massive, massive improvement to the game. Also, as a online league owner and a online player, the option to be able to take the win or continue the game when a user disconnects or quits. This was once in the game before, back around 2010, 2011. And I don't know why they ever took it away, but this was the best feature they ever had, and they need to bring this feature back ASAP. If a user disconnects, we obviously know they quit if it's like a blowout or they lost a key player and it's a close game. If it's a close game, they lost a key player, they feel like they didn't need to lose and just randomly out of nowhere, they disconnect. We know what really happened there. Also as well, if a user's getting blown out, and we see a disconnect and it's not a quit, well, then we know what happened. They quit. So in the event these two things happen, we should be able to receive the option of being able to take the win or continue the game to continue to run up the numbers. So since you want to quit and you want to disconnect, let's go ahead and run up the statistics against your computer and make you look even worse than you already did. So please, please, EA, I'm begging you, implement this back in the game. This is much needed. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other online gamers feel like this. Nothing is more annoying than when you're getting these statistics, and even worse, when you're getting these statistics with players that you have a breakout game for and you lose connection to your opponent. We need an option to be able to maintain that game or take the W. Self-explanatory, no ifs, ands, or buts to it. Next up, we got fully customizable schedules, the entire schedule. Give us the ability to fully customize our schedule. It shouldn't be that difficult. If I decide I want to play all user opponents, let me go ahead and play all user opponents. If I decide I want to play all CPU opponents, let me go ahead and play all CPU opponents. But don't just give me this random schedule every year. Let me dictate who I want to play. They had it in the game once before with preseason. Preseason used to be every year during preseason, you get to make your own schedule for preseason. Even if it wasn't regular season, you got to make that schedule for preseason. Now they kind of randomized preseason every year. At one point, they were doing the same preseason schedule every year. That got annoying as hell. But they finally changed it up and they randomized it like they randomized the regular season schedule. But users would be much appreciative if they could make their own schedules every year. So implementing a fully customizable schedule would be a great addition to Madden 27. Injury rehab drills to try to increase recovery time. Now, this is what I mentioned in the beginning of the video when I said I was addressing all the things that EA implemented, and some of the things they implemented, they could still improve. This was the one that I said I would mention later on. So this isn't actually a drill, but they tried to implement something to help with this, and that's with the trainer abilities. So if you have the right trainer abilities, it can help increase the chance that your player that is hurt, that's out for like 4 to 7 weeks, can really get back on the field within 2 to 3 weeks. But I'm really just looking for actual drills. I would much rather something that's in my control than the AI being in control. Again, we once had injury rehab drills. Why don't we have injury rehab drills in the game now? And last but not least, CPU offering trades. CPU never offers trades to the user. You get trades from other users in the league, but you don't get offers from the CPU. The only time you get offers from the CPU is if you put somebody on a trade block. And that's not even like a real offer. You just have to go to that tab and it shows you the different options you have from different teams throughout the game. But I want to see notifications pop up from teams, just like from other users, that, hey, they offered so-and-so, and then I can go ahead and determine if I want to counter that offer, decline that offer, so on and so forth. But CPU trades is a much needed feature added in the game. But that's going to wrap up this video. I would speak on importing draft classes from college football, but that's already been addressed in my college football 27 wish list. No need to go ahead and address it in here, especially since we know that that's not gonna happen. So y'all let me know how y'all feel in the comment section. Let me know if y'all feel like I left something out that you feel like is important to you. I'm sure gameplay is a massive one. That's always a massive one. That's gonna be something every year. Until EA changes their engine that they operate on, this is more than likely always going to be an ongoing issue. But y'all let me know how y'all feel in the comment section. As always, if you're here for the first time or you're returning and you haven't liked or subscribed already, please do so. Click that notification tab so you can stay up to speed with more Madden 27 content, as well as other sports gaming content coming here soon. Again, I appreciate you all for tuning in. That's been my time. Till next time. Peace.